Welcome. Scott here. Here is a quick boss guide for the upcoming Story Lufania Plus event, Act 3 Chapter 6 Part 1 Family Shackles. The featured units are Gilgamesh from Final Fantasy V, Guy from Final Fantasy II, Rosa from Final Fantasy IV, Jack from Final Fantasy Type 0 along with Kefka and Gau from Final Fantasy VI. This event also marks the debut of Gilgamesh LD and burst weapons. Gilgamesh and Kefka burst will be realizable. Gilgamesh, Kefka, Guy, and Rosa will get their reworks along with their C90 awakenings. For the fight, we will be fighting two Death Riders which has 16.5 million HP each. The turn requirement is 85. The HP requirements is 10,000. Before I continue further, here is a small disclaimer clause for the video. The guide is written based on the time that the event was released for the Japanese version. Please do note that it is possible that the boss fight mechanics might differ when the actual event is released in global. Firstly, let's go through the Lufania Plus orb conditions. The orb will appear at the 79% HP threshold and it is a non-cancelable orb. When the boss acts, it will uptick the orb by 1. To uptick the orb, you need to have a unit to use an ability transformed from HP attack. The orb has a strict action requirement of 5. Generally, any unit with LD or EX passive will gain access to their generic special HP commands. They will uptick the orb for using the HP command. I have listed down the recommended units that you won't feel that odd in using their HP attack button. The recent units are Gilgamesh, Papalymo, Garnet, Noelle, Machina, and Locke. For additional recommendations, I have Yuna, Lightning, Paladin Cecil, Queen, Ace, Vivi, Alisai, Aphma, Ishtala, Lena, and Agrias. Now let's proceed with some party setup recommendations. Recommended calls abilities. To ensure that you are able to constantly break them, it is important to inflict defense down debuffs. Example of calls abilities that inflict defense down are Ferris, Jack, Titus. As the boss has a huge amount of HP damage up debuff calls like Karasame, Gabrinth, Ignis, Maria, Lily-Set, and Fran are useful. Although a bit trickier to use, Aura type HP damage up calls like Sid and Kimari are also viable. A lot of the recent released LD units have accompanied HP damage auras. The boss can steal Brave from their Brave attacks. So, to avoid getting them to gain too much Brave, freezing their Brave will make your job easier to break them. You can use Setzer, Arsila, and Kater. Next, I will be covering units that will be useful to handle the fight mechanics. Like other Lufania Plus events, it is always recommended to bring supports for their aura and buffs. They are Garnet, Purim, Setzer, Agrias, Kate Sith, Queen, Ishtala, Bartz, Lena, Lyud, and Sarah. A green BT plus Garnet will definitely help to open up a lot of team comp options. As the boss can gain tremendous amounts of Brave, and if you are playing the non-delay game, damage mitigation is highly recommended. Options include Snow, Core, Gladiolus, Warrior of Light, Beatrix, Orin, Zack. Recently C90 evasion tanks like Prompto and Kater are also useful here. Guy will finally become a really decent tank option with his C90 awakenings and rework. For damage dealers, you can consider the crew that I have mentioned earlier. The boss isn't immune to delays or launch. You can consider the following options to enable boss no turns: Quistis, Cypher, Sabin, and Sync for delays. Bring Selphie, Kais, or Aphma if you are bringing a launch-oriented team comp. The infamous Sidma combo will also works for the fight. Aphma can easily up the orb with her HP plus. Do take constant note that the battle featured a very tight orb. Do remember to use your HP command buttons. On the screen, you will see a timeline showing the HP thresholds triggers that you need to watch out for. The Lufania aura and stats boosts are triggered at the start of the fight, 79% HP threshold and the 49% HP threshold. At the start of the fight, a warning message will appear. It will indicate if you have a unit to act 5 consecutive actions. Both Death Riders will warp their turns and unleash the Death Cleave plus HP counter. I will discuss more on this on the subsequent slide. After the 49% HP threshold, you will see a prompt whenever the boss is using one of their standard Brave commands, Death, Death Cleave, or Sheer Burst. After acting with those commands, the boss will insert their turns in between your party's turns. The key problem of the fight is actually the Lufania plus orb. You can also negate the orb with Echo LD and play the fight normally afterwards. Just remember to use a HP attack for every 4 actions you take. Overall, this isn't really a tough fight. With recent Global First BT Garnet supporting, the fight will probably be over even you could pay any attention to the boss mechanics. Just beware of the pointers that I have highlighted and this fight shouldn't be too difficult to handle. Now let's proceed with the boss mechanics proper. Like the previous Lufania Plus fights, the boss will gain big stats boosts, brave damage, and brave gain reduction auras when you deplete their HP to a certain threshold. The threshold's trigger for this fight is at the start of the fight, 79% HP threshold and 49% HP thresholds. At the start of the fight, the bosses will boost their defense stats by 200%. At 79% HP threshold, they will further boost their defense stats to 300%. The maximum brave damage reduction auras is 90%. The maximum brave gain reduction auras are 70%. At the 79% and 49% HP thresholds, the boss will also gain massive brave. Make sure you have means to break them. To handle against the brave reduction auras, you can use brave damage up calls like Jack, Sephiroth, or bring a support that have brave damage up like Lena. Alternatively, you can also use the enchant and imperil strategy to hit the enemies for elemental weakness damage. Now, I will be covering the boss key mechanics in detail. Firstly, let's go through Death Cleave Plus mechanic. This is a mechanic that you probably won't see any of the JP runs featuring it. I got my friend, Mspro2 to test the mechanic so you can see how it works in action. Upon triggering the condition, both Death Riders will warp their turns and unleash this guaranteed AoE Brave plus HP attack. It will dispel all your buffs. If the boss has any debuffs inflicted, it will cleanse them and transfer to your party while also extending those debuffs by another 3 turns. Preventing this mechanic is very simple. You just need to avoid having an unit act 5 consecutive actions. After you have gone past the 49% HP threshold, the boss will start to insert their turns in between your party turns with interrupt turn order. Before they act, you will see the prompt. After they act, they will insert their turns in between your party. Most of the boss attacks are non-HP attacks, but due to the embedded Brave stealing mechanic, they can gain Brave tremendously fast. I have shown them on the right side of screen and a brief explanation on what they do. Here is the last slide for my boss guide presentation. In my opinion, the fight is probably one of the easiest Lufania Plus stage to handle. As long as you remember to use a HP command for every 4 actions, the orb won't pose much a threat. Most people will probably smack past the stage with their shiny green burst plus toys and probably won't see the boss mechanics at all. If you want to give yourself some challenge and avoid bringing green burst plus units, the stage can actually be quite challenging. I have listed down some utility that you need to consider. 1. Brave control is important here. If you allow the bosses to gain too much brave, you could end up having the problem unable to shave them. Debuffs that nullifies brave gains are very useful here. You can consider using Setzer, Arsila, Yuffie, Edward, or Kater. 2. Since they can gain a lot of brave with their brave stealing mechanics, you can easily solve that problem with gravity shaving or using instant breaks. Gilgamesh have gravity shaving in his kit while Kefka has ignore defense on his EX. If you are playing the hit and counter game, remember to deploy a unit that can reduce brave damage. Guy works perfectly fine. I have come to the end of my boss guide presentation. Hopefully you find it useful. If you like the video, please give a like. Please subscribe to my channel for future gaming content. Good luck for the fight tomorrow. Bye.